over the weekend, after he met with Justin Trudeau and before Hunter Biden got pardoned, Donald Trump issued a proclamation on Truth Social appointing Kash Patel, the new head of the FBI. Kash Patel, the new head of the FBI. This was the actual statement that Donald Trump released. I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax, standing as an advocate for truth, accountability, and the Constitution. Kash did an incredible job during my first term, where he served as chief of staff at the Department of Defense, deputy director of National Intelligence, and senior director for counterterrorism at the National Security Council. Kash has tried over 60 jury trials. The FBI will end the growing crime epidemic in America, dismantle the migrant criminal gangs, and stop the evil scourge of human and drug trafficking across the border. Kash will work under our great Attorney General Pam Bondi to bring back fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the FBI. Kash Patel is the worst nightmare of the deep state. Kash Patel is the worst nightmare of the bureaucratic FBI officials who work for Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, and wield their power with political influence and interference. Kash Patel will get rid of all that. Kash Patel is going to bring the FBI back to greatness. He's going to root out all of the people that have targeted President Donald Trump, have targeted Catholics, have targeted parents at PTA meetings. He and Pam Bondi will work to not only root out the bad apples in the barrel, but they will also go after and prosecute anyone in the FBI who has been found to be abusing their power to prosecute, let's just say, a potential political adversary, much like, Donald Trump. And this Kash Patel, I mean, if you think about it, if you backtrack a little, Kash Patel being chosen as head of the FBI and a true anti-deep state, anti-bureaucracy, America First fighter who has no problem investigating anybody who he deems has been working against the people of the United States of America and the Constitution of the United States of America. That guy has no problem going after Hunter Biden. That guy will not lose a wink. He will not lose a wink of sleep going after Hunter Biden, James Biden, Joe Biden, Jill Biden. He will gladly investigate with the passion and with the excitement that Jack Smith investigated Donald Trump. He will flip the script and he will investigate not just Joe Biden, but any other Democrat who may have been culpable, who may have been aiding and abetting the Biden crime family in getting all of this influence money that they allegedly got over the past several years. He would have no problem with it. The subpoenas would fly and they would all say Biden. And I have to believe personally that is one of the reasons why Joe Biden chose this instance to go to take the opportunity to pardon his son Hunter. If Joe Biden's like, look, Hunter Biden needs a pardon 24 hours after Kash Patel gets nominated, it's because he knows that his son would be in serious trouble, as would the rest of his family. And so he now has taken away all of that power from the guy who will be one of the most powerful FBI directors that we've ever seen. Now, we know that Kash Patel is a great choice because people in the FBI don't want him to be their director. Andrew McCabe, for example, was on CNN and he was lying, belittling. He was making up stories. He was just trying to disgrace Kash Patel and Donald Trump's decision to make him FBI director. And all of it is just adding fuel to it makes everybody realize, well, if Andrew McCabe says he's bad, he must be great.
It's a terrible development for the men and women of the FBI and also for the nation that depends on a highly functioning, professional, independent Federal Bureau of Investigation. The fact that Kash Patel is profoundly unqualified for this job is not even like a matter for debate.
Hold on one second. I just got to double check something. Kash Patel. Let's just see. I want to double check this. He was the chief of staff at the Department of Defense, deputy director of National Intelligence, senior director for counterterrorism at the National Security Council. He worked in the Attorney General's office with 60 jury trials. He worked for Barack Obama. He worked for Donald Trump. This is a guy who has worked under different presidents from different administrations in pretty much every national security department. I don't know if there's anybody more qualified than Kash Patel. But let's get back to what Andrew McCabe said.
What we should really be thinking about right now is, what does this signal in terms of Donald Trump's intent for the FBI? The installation, or the nomination, I guess we should say at this point, of Kash Patel as FBI director can only possibly be a plan to disrupt, to dismantle, to distract the FBI, and to possibly use it as a tool for the president's political agenda.
I mean, that's just one of the most ironic statements ever, isn't it? Oh, Donald Trump, you know what he did? He chose Kash Patel. You know why? Because he plans to dismantle the FBI and use it to institute his own political agenda. Gee, that sounds like somebody I know. Who was it? Oh, right. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He's gonna, Donald Trump's gonna dismantle the FBI. He's got this grand plan. Kash Patel is going to be an agent of change that is going to be Donald Trump's right-hand hitman, and he's going to use the FBI to investigate his political adversaries. That's amazing. That's also a precedent we've seen set by Joe Biden. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, look, this guy's actually a pretty decent choice, and many of them were on CNN defending him.
Look, I don't think the American people are interested in a revenge tour. But obviously, if people did wrong in their official capacities, then that's something they should be concerned about. But if they didn't do anything wrong, if they upheld the law, then there shouldn't be a problem. The objective here, obviously, is to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI and get it back to its mission of going after criminals. Growing up in New York, the FBI, in the aftermath of 9/11, was focused on going after terrorism. And obviously, in recent years, we've seen the FBI and the Department of Justice weaponized in a way that it has become completely political. That's not good for the American people. It's not good for our system of justice. The lack of confidence that Americans have in the Department of Justice and the FBI is terrible.
It's terrible. That's Mike Lawler, by the way. He's a representative and he sits on the Foreign Relations Committee. And he's saying the FBI is not there to investigate Americans. It's there to protect Americans from outside threats. And they're not doing that. They're investigating Americans. Oh, fun fact, conservative Americans. That's what I meant. Not conservative Americans. And that's why people have such low opinions of the FBI. Here's Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, who's been just about everywhere these days as a surrogate for the Trump transition team, talking again about Kash Patel and what a great choice he is.
He represents the type of change that we need to see in the FBI. If you think about the failures of background checks that have taken place, how could we have somebody like Colin Kahl, who tweeted out classified information? I went to the FBI myself. They ignored me. Basically, he was confirmed on a party line vote in the U.S. Senate with Kamala Harris breaking the tie to put this person that should not even have a security clearance in the third most powerful position at DOD. You've got Rob Malley. I don't know how he cleared an FBI check. He's now under investigation. His ties to the Iranian influence regime that worked with him and for him. Ariane Talatabi, who is still at the DOD, should never clear an FBI background check. This entire agency needs to be cleaned out. It's not doing its job. And if you look at what happened, the politicization that took place back in 2016, when senior leaders of the FBI collaborated and conspired to try to keep President Trump out of office. And then when he came into office, they put together this fake Russiagate investigation that hindered the Trump administration at the first several years. Look at 2020. Look at what happened there with the fake Hunter Biden story that the FBI leadership worked together with big tech to censor the Hunter Biden laptop that allowed President Biden to basically fool the American public and come into office. There are serious problems at the FBI. The American public knows it. They expect to see sweeping change, and Kash Patel is just the type of person to do it.
And by the way, he could have gone on. It's amazing. There's like hours and hours of stories of FBI interference and collaboration and cooperation and corruption. There's an hour. Everybody could talk about it over and over again. And these people that are getting pushed through, their nominations are getting approved by the Senate, and Kamala Harris is casting the tie-breaking votes. It's just ridiculous. Here's Smiley. She's great. She's on CNN as well. CNN, by the way, man, they had to bite their tongues so much this weekend. They had all these Kash Patel lovers and Joe Biden haters on their network. It's almost like they're trying to resurrect their ratings.
Well, there's a lack of trust in the FBI with the American people, and that's exactly what we saw with Donald Trump getting elected. And with Kash, I mean, he has worked national security roles. In fact, he was a prosecutor at the DOJ with the national security under Obama. He's worked with Democrats. He's worked with Republicans. Donald Trump wants change agents. And I think the fact that people here in D.C. insiders, people within the FBI perhaps, don't want Kash is a really good sell to the American people.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's basically the rats are telling you not to get a cat is what it is. The rats are out there going, no, don't get a cat. Cats are horrible. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump's like, you know what? I think I need a cat. They're eating the dogs. We need a cat to get all these rats out of here. And all of a sudden, you get a cat, and guess what? There's no more rats. And they're not stealing your cheese. They're not pooping anywhere. The rats are gone because you got a cat to chase them all out of there. This is what Andrew McCabe saying we don't want Kash Patel. He's a disgrace. He's unqualified. He's going to destroy the agency. Is a rat saying I'm anti-cat. It's 100% what that is. This is a clip I haven't even watched yet. I believe this is Tom Cotton, who's out there saying Kash Patel is like amazing.
I do know that Troy is right when he talks about all that Kash worked as a member of that committee staff and then at the White House to expose the corruption and wrongdoing at the FBI and the Department of Justice that unfairly targeted Donald Trump and those around him in his first campaign. I'd also point out that he has many years' experience as a federal prosecutor and a federal public defender, which means he's experienced not only in putting criminals behind bars, but also can understand what happens when government overreaches. That used to be something for the last 4 years that the Democrats extolled as they were putting federal public defenders on the bench. But now all of a sudden they condemn that kind of experience at the very same time that Joe Biden is committing a total perversion of justice by giving his son the most sweeping pardon in modern American history. It's a pretty stark.
It's a pretty stark contrast. Yeah, so there you go. So really, lawmakers from all over the Republican Party are saying, look, this guy is going to do everything that he said he's going to do, that Donald Trump promised to do, and he's going to make sure that everything that's happened to President Trump, everything that's happened to anybody, because it's not just the investigation of President Trump. It's not just the attacks on President Trump, the raid at Mar-a-Lago where they rifled through Melania's underwear drawer because, I don't know, they're perverts. Not only that, it's every other American who votes for Donald Trump. Do you remember when the FEMA woman was fired because she told FEMA people in North Carolina, she said, skip the Trump houses. Well, they don't need help. Skip the Trump houses. They don't trust the government anyway. She was fired. And that should never happen. The same thing goes on in the FBI. Democrats get off scot-free. Hunter Biden was not investigated the way Donald Trump was. Hunter Biden was not sought after the way Donald Trump does. Do you remember just look at the top secret documents case. Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, the only person with the power to unclassify documents, is charged with holding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Joe Biden, who was never president before he took these documents to his garage, which was unlocked, and was in possession of top secret documents that were not unclassified. Joe Biden, he got away scot-free. The prosecutor, the investigator said, this is an old man who has no idea what he's doing, that let alone the fact that he took out top secret documents. We're not going to prosecute him. He's just too old. And he was too old and demented to be held accountable for his actions, but he's still president of the United States. Let that sink in. Donald Trump, however, was targeted by Jack Smith, was hounded by the FBI. And now Donald Trump is saying that's never going to happen again. I'm going to bring in somebody who's going to make sure that the FBI, who's going to clean house, who's going to get rid of the riffraff, and who's going to say this is not how we do things in the United States of America. And he's going to protect Americans from the agencies and the people that have sworn themselves to protect other Americans. It's one of the greatest nominations Donald Trump has made so far, and should be easily confirmable because of what we saw earlier. Look, when Matt Gaetz bowed out of contention, there was a lot of backlash from Republicans. None of it really had to do with qualifications. A lot of it had to do with their personal animus toward Matt Gaetz. They'd been attacked by Matt Gaetz before. But in this scenario, it's going to be hard pressed for anyone, Republican or Democrat, to come out against Kash Patel. Because again, Kash Patel has been chief of staff at the Department of Defense. That right there qualifies him for a high-ranking government job like FBI. Deputy Director of National Intelligence. Deputy Director of National Intelligence is a huge job, and that definitely makes him qualified to lead up the FBI. Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. This guy has been a proponent, a fighter, a student of. This guy has been part of our national security for the last several decades. And he's worked for multiple different presidents, and he's been successful. And there is no reason why anybody should find any fault with this nomination or keep it from going through. And anybody that does, anybody that tells you this guy, Kash Patel, is not qualified to be the director of the FBI, first of all, they're worried that he's going to prosecute them. They're worried that he's going to find something on them. And they could also be racist. Because let's be honest, whenever a Republican stands up against a minority appointment of Joe Biden's rather, they're called a racist. So I'm going to say it right now. If there's any Democrat watching or listening, senator or anyone else, if you do not let this very qualified patriot who has worked diligently over the last 2 decades to fight for the United States of America, to protect us from our enemies, domestic and international, foreign and domestic, if you do not let this guy go through without complaint, you're obviously a racist. Because that's how the Democrats play it. So I'm going to steal a page from their own handbook, and I'm going to play it the exact same way. There's one more story I wanted to share with you, but first I wanted to remind you that you can get my story, The Untold Story of Christmas, available right now. I know it's Cyber Monday or whatever. I know a lot of people are on the internet and they're shopping. So go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com and get yourself a copy of this beautiful book. We've sold, over the weekend, I would say at least several hundred. The orders were coming in over and over and over again. I love when people are sitting at home and they're bored with their relatives and they go online and they buy stuff. The Untold Story of Christmas is the story of the birth of Jesus, but it's from a different set of eyeballs. And it's very, very inspirational. It's got a fantastic lesson. Your kids are going to love it. You're going to love it. Anyone from any age is going to love this book. And it's also beautiful. I decorated it, I created it and I designed it to make it look like a decoration, because here at the Kaye household, here at Mar-a-Lago, we leave all of our books out. If you walk in our house, you'll see books everywhere. You can grab one, you can pick it up, you can read it, you can get in the Christmas spirit. And this one fits in nicely with any Christmas decor. It's beautiful. It's a glossy cover. It's got fantastic illustrations. And again, it's an amazing untold story of Christmas, one that I'm sure you haven't heard before. And next week I will read for you on the program so you can get a feel for it. But go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. We also have the link in the description of this video to make it easy for you. And you can get multiple copies. In fact, most people buy more than one. Why? Well, because it's Christmas time. You're going to get invited to a party, or your kid's going to get invited to a party, or there's going to be some white elephant thing. You're going to be like, oh, I don't have a gift. Bada bing, bada boom. You have some of these handy, and you can take one and wrap it up and take it with you, and no one's going to give you the stink eye. You can stuff them in stockings or give them to your neighbors, or if you forget something for the mailman, just take a copy of The Untold Story of Christmas, shove it in the mailbox with a little note that says, "To our mail carrier, thank you for your hard work," and they're going to love it because, again, it's a beautiful story and a beautiful book, and it's available now at theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com.